You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Its purpose is to dissect and discuss horror films, both old and new. Today we are going to delve into a little film called Puppet Master, which is celebrating 30 years since its release this year, having been released in 1989. Before we get into that and start dissecting and discussing this film, I should introduce myself. My name is Saul Murte, and I am joined by Richard Lovegrove. Welcome aboard, Richard.
Sorry, I just saw something very funny on the TV and I just thought I'd laugh.
I just saw it too, but I'm on delay.
Oh, yes, all that nitrous oxide around.
Welcome aboard, Richard. How are you?
I'm very, very well. Even better after the nitrous oxide.
Cool. Well, look, this is we were talking offline with this one. This is celebrating 30 years from its original release, and has gained something of a pretty huge cult following. And a lot of that is to do with the puppets that come that are featured in the film and the stop animation kind of process, which we'll discuss a little bit in the mix. But it has also spawned something like 13 or 14 of sequels.
23, or it's like a Rocky movie.
It's a lot. There's a lot of, yeah.
Well, it got to the point where they stopped numbering them. That's when you know you're on a bad thing. And they just start getting to, like, Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys, or Puppet Master, the Littlest Reich.
Yes, yeah. Well, the Littlest Reich, I think, was the more recent one, which kind of came out as part of, we record here in Australia. And there's a little underground film festival here called Sydney Underground Film Festival. And they show a lot of that stuff. Big shout out to you guys who always show some fucking awesome films. And it was part of their canon, and I feel like I sent Ant to go and watch that one.
You sent him along to the Littlest Reich.
Go watch some little puppets create havoc.
Why are we going in by trains? Just go along. Oh dear. Yeah, no. Well, I haven't seen any of the films, so it was a breath of fresh air to see something that's such an iconic classic, because a lot of people have got differing opinions about this, but it being like the start of these is always good to see, I think, with a blind eye. Yes,
I agree. And it's a strange one too, because I kind of feel like being the host of the series, of the podcast series, I should have watched countless of these films, but this is one of the ones I hadn't seen. It was always like sitting there on your to watch list, and never got around to watching it. So,
or back in the day when you'd walk through the Video Easy, I always loved walking through the horror aisle, because you just get such really amazing artistic imagery. It was like an art gallery going through there and seeing these spectacles of, I don't know what this film's about, but the poster or the cover art was just so intriguing.
Absolutely, mate, absolutely. And that's the thing, because and the puppet that's featured predominantly on the VHS covers is mainly the character Blade. So he's the kind of very sunken, hollowed-eyed, kind of wears the big hat, black hat thing, and has the knife blade for his hand.
Sort of like as an attached limb, and on the other side he's got the hook, doesn't he?
Yeah, that's right. So he's the only puppet that's actually featured on every single cover of the VHS films that have been released, or DVD films that have been released. And
he was definitely the most intimidating, I felt. Yeah, well, up against Pinhead, who got thrown a couple of times.
Yeah, that's right. And what I want to do is actually kind of talk about each of those puppets a bit later on too, and kind of look at them and see which ones had an impact or not. But yeah, it was interesting because Blade has also got a spin-off film coming out next year, 2020. And he's the first of the puppets to get his own spin-off, which we know. Nice. So yet another instalment is on its way, Richard.
Yes, just for you, sir. One. I was gonna say, have they already made one called Blade the Iron Cross, or is that one?
No, that's the one. Yeah, Blade the Iron Cross. So that's not come out yet. It'll be out next year.
Oh, great! Oh, so they're in chronological order. I can see. I'm just looking it up on Wikipedia, and I can see it's all in order that way.
Sandwiched after Axis. The Axis one, I think, from memory. I can't remember the name of the title, but it was like the fifth one, I think.
Yes.
Puppet Master 5. And I'm just saying it off the top of my head. I could be completely wrong, but
That's right. Yeah, there's a. I can read up the entire chronology I found up here. If you want to read
no.
Yeah,
That's quite all right,
good,
boy.
like 5 prequels as well. It's crazy.
All right, so so like both of us are puppet master virgins, shall we say, as we kind of came into this to join in the celebrations for the 30th anniversary. So let's kind of take a quick look at the plot line, and we'll start kind of nutting through this fairly quickly, and then we'll kind of talk about the impact, as I said, of each of the puppets and what they had, and maybe each of the psychics that are involved as well, because obviously you've got the who's who of psychics. That it's a psychic convention.
It sort of did feel like it was 2 separate films, but in the last half sort of brings it back to a almost Hellraiser sort of motif, it felt like.
Yes.
And, yeah, by that stage I was feeling quite sick. I don't know whether it was something I ate or it was the cinematography and the imagery and the music. Oh my god.
I think it was probably all of them.
Yes, well that's it, because even from the beginning, the point of view shots I thought was the first bit. I went, oh yeah, this like isn't just a silly film, like, you know, it's got a lot of paid attention points, and I was going, oh, what else could you do with these idea if there's all puppets and points of view? So I'm glad they did a couple of these things.
No, I agree, and I'm glad you touched on the POV thing, because that's essentially how we're first kind of introduced to these characters, as we are actually seeing things from Blade's point of view.
But we don't know it's Blade yet, if I'm right.
We just see this kind of very low-angled shot and lots of...
I love those sound effects.
Yeah.
But it was great. The fact also it's a puppet, too. Like, when you find out it's a puppet and you're going, and it breathes? It's just like, sighs? Oh, wow.
Yes. It's very,
but
very
yeah,
cool.
Following people up elevators and stuff, and that's when you see the very cliche-looking sinister men in fedora hats. And black.
They're supposed to be like the FBI or something. Oh no, they're Nazi spies, aren't they? That's right.
That's right. Yeah, because I started watching a Spanish version, and so the Spanish subtitles came up when they were speaking, and I was like, I think that's German.
Yeah.
So I had to stop it and go back, and I was like, oh, the beginning of the film is exactly the same if you can't speak German.
Yeah, right. It just confused you for a minute because you're like, what language is this? I'm so confused.
Yeah, I heard all of the like Puppet Master's speech, and I was just like, didn't hear any of it.
Hey, I know I got you.
That's it. Yeah.
Nice. We should probably mention that apparently this is in 1939 that the movie is set. So this is why hence why the Nazi spies kind of connection. At the beginning, and it's set in Bodega Bay in California. Bodega.
It sounds bodacious, dude.
Hey, Bodega, man! Let's go down to Bodega Bay. Hang out with these puppets. They're just going mental, killing people.
Badangarang.
Hey. But the reason I mentioned Bodega Bay, and I was saying to you offline, I was like, that rings a bell. I'm sure it's a Hitchcock thing. And Hitchcock, during his American kind of years, did a lot of shots of his films up the coast of California.
Cool.
And Bodega Bay was actually where he shot The Birds.
Oh, really? Fantastic.
Yeah, so that's why it rang a bell to me. I was like, I so know that name.
Yes.
So a little bit of kind of a historical reference there.
And again, that's sort of like an event that happens, like, you know, out of like in a nature sort of control or a spiritual sort of control, sort of like linking the two. But just getting shots of Birdemic, that terrible film that went around the Sundance Film Festival.
Yes. That's such a bad film.
That's so bad. It's great.
Thanks for scoring my mind again, sir. So look, there's something about Bodega Bay anyway. Like, there must be a bit of a stuff going on up there. I mean, it's a beautiful scenery. You know, the shots. That are taken there, but there must be something that connects these artistic types to kind of connect with their spiritual side.
Yeah, it's like writers in Maine.
Yes, exactly right. So we are during the kind of whole POV interspersed with the running around POV blade shots. We are seeing this old dude who's this puppeteer named Andre Toulon, and he's kind of putting the finishing touches to this puppet called Jester, who has this revolving facial head thing going around.
Yes, yeah, reminded me heaps of that thing out of what was it, Neverending Story 2. Where they kept on swapping their faces.
Ah, yes.
But I quite liked this gimmick because it was in 3 sections and it sort of it looked creepy. Not creepy, like dangerous. You didn't want to put your finger near it while spinning.
No.
Yeah, and it made that sort of ratcheting sound. But even going back to the Puppet Master himself, William Hickey.
Yes,
am I right in thinking he was the same guy who played the grandfather or something in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation?
Yeah, you want it? You got it. It's Toyota. Yeah, that's him.
I'm sure many things he's been in, exactly.
Yeah, he's been a whole heap of stuff. Like, I think he was in a lot of the earlier stuff he was in was all a lot of what am I trying to say? The Western kind of films early on in his career, but. Like you can just Google it, guys. He's in a lot of things.
Because any white male in the early days of cinema or TV in America would have been in the westerns.
Played the voice of Dr. Finkelstein in The Nightmare Before Christmas.
Oh, fantastic! He has a very unique voice. That's why I didn't get a lot of his lines in this one, but his imagery alone just reminded me of that.
Yeah.
Christmas Vacation. His hair or his back setting on fire with the Christmas tree.
Yeah. That's right.
That was great. But yeah, and throughout the whole time he's talking to them as well, and that the one that switches faces, he ends up whispering an enchantment or something too.
Yes, he does. So like the whole kind of this is where I don't know about you when you were watching this, it was very easy to get lost with what the fuck is going on.
Yeah. Well, I found this sequence, I'm not going to jump forward too much, but this sequence in the beginning, very satisfying. And then sort of after that, the next bit, sort of then I dipped down and was going, okay, wait a minute, I want to get back to what are the puppets doing now? Because not necessarily, I expected them to kill, but I want to see what their move was, that next step there. Almost like a Chucky Child's Play sort of thing, but...
Yes.
It being thrust into the complete opposite world where it was then spiritual and stuff like that. And
that's right.
I was like, okay, it sort of felt to me like they were spelling out the same story in a different way. It was almost like, here's 2 bits of magic.
Yes.
That do they work together? We don't know.
Yes.
But this sequence I thought was really pleasing because it set the tension up. It set the even Blade not as a protagonist, but even as that antagonist that you can see the point of view of, which plays in the resolution of the film. Yeah. You want him to succeed at a certain point, and you feel worried, even though you don't know what he is at this point. Running up and chasing after it. And this guy, the Puppet Master, obviously has a lot of both pride in his work and an amazing craftsman. I mean, to be able to make these things not only come to life, but to make them look this good, has a great care, and they have a care for him, which through their audio as well is reflected.
Yeah, there's a beautiful relationship between Andre Toulon and his puppets, and between them all, and I agree with you. I was instantly kind of going, I want to know more about that world before, and then I kind of got lost with the psychics bit. I think that's probably why I was just like a bit, but we'll touch on that in a second. So, with the opening scene, though, we do get to see this, I want to say cute little oriental puppet named Khan, who's... I say cute because he's looking out the window because he's actually worried about his friend Blade, who hasn't come back yet.
Yeah.
But that's the only time we ever see this puppet.
Is it, or is he the screw top one?
No, he's not.
Oh, he's not?
No, he's a completely different puppet.
Oh.
Yeah.
I completely, because I thought the same sort of thing, and again when he was rushing over, because he's the first one I think that you go, he's communicating with this guy, and he says, don't worry, I know, or something like this, and so you go, it's a group sentience between them, but it's all very caring.
Yes.
which
It is.
I thought was a very nice sort of way, especially when horror movies take this sort of way that you're asking so many questions, and even just sometimes seeing like the animatics or the stop motion or even just the puppetry of some of the puppets being animate can be scary to a lot of people. I know a lot of people who still can't see movies with robots in them, so they can't watch Terminator or certain movies like that. It's
That's
just like, wow.
I'm going to throw my mum under a bus now. My mum is literally like that. She cannot watch anything that's animatronics in it, like so stop motion, all the Ray Harryhausen kind of stuff.
Yes.
But predominantly for her, it was King Kong when she was younger.
Of course.
That to her just freaked her out. And couldn't stand it. So I think that paved its way for her fear of anything with stop motion involved with it. Whereas I relish in it with glee.
No, exactly. Well, I kind of like that uncanny valley sort of thing when it's done well. And when you sort of go, okay, we'll play into that because it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah.
Like even when you look at Jurassic Park, the stop motion in the kitchen scene is still quite scary, even though you can see the little crane arms holding it up and everything. But you go, whoa, the frame rate is in that uncanny valley where it just sets you at unease. The same as with when I saw the remake for Evil Dead, the cinematography and the subject matter I felt gives you this sort of unsettled, nauseous effect. And towards the end of this film, I felt like the music was doing the same sort of thing, especially at the last scene around the table and things. But this first scene plays with even, I think, nice music. There's some like strings and stuff like that go quite high pitched, but it's generally along this sort of like caring sort of theme. So then when the Nazis end up going up in the elevator, which on review found that Blade goes up early, and so like interrupts them getting up quicker.
Yes, that's right. Yeah,
it's great. And then runs up there, and the woman sees him, and you have that little stop motion thing. Yeah. I thought that was great because a lot of people, review wise, I've been seeing have said that hasn't held up. And I thought, as one of the first animatics, that was really good. That flow of motion of him going up was in that uncanny valley. Going, well, we don't know what a spiritual infected, puppet would be moving like. I assume it would be not bones. So that worked for me, and I quite like that. But instantly thought he doesn't care too much about getting seen. I cared a little bit more about him because I was like, if he kills this person, I don't think he's not a redeemable character.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah. No, I agree with you. You instantly, and I guess that's because it's a very clever way of the storytelling, is that we first see things through Blade's eyes. So as the audience, we instantly connect with because he's sharing his journey is our journey at the beginning of the movie. So we instantly have this kind of affiliation with this character before anything's even begun. So it's very, very clever on that part because it makes us want to side with these kind of little creatures.
Yeah, well, even from a further point, like, the cinematography and the of his shots, like, because it all starts up not on his face or anything like that, doesn't establish who he is. It's his hands and the puppets first doing the intricate work and the last details of it, which is, I don't know, could be mirrored by that idea of the POV shots going to the back of people's ankles, and that, like, point of view is superior in this, like, they're setting it up as a cinematic motif, that the idea of that specific, intricate close-up view is the detail.
Yes.
I don't know, which I never even thought about that in the grand scale of the next part, because probably on a review, it might be a bit more sort of, maybe this is this, and reading into it too much, but...
No, I fully understand, man. I think it's, I liked it. I'm sorry, I'm just pausing because I feel like I'm going to sneeze.
No, go for it. Whilst you do, I'll just say about, what was it, Blaze's little adorable rushed taps against the door as he's trying to get in, those little... like, I thought that was great, because again, I saw that bit twice, and it was just like, I really like this little thing.
Yeah, I like it. Yes, I instantly connect with it. I think it's like when we do finally see his face too, it's a very iconic look. So I enjoyed that kind of journey that we went on with him at the beginning, and as I said, was instantly connected with him. So the what was I going to say to that? Sorry. with the.
That's right. I was going to say he sort of does a little bit of a Captain Marvel though in the recent Avengers movie where he shows up in the first 5 minutes and then disappears for the majority of it.
Through it for a while.
Then comes back.
Yeah. So, remember me? I'm on the front cover of the video. Yeah. So. No, that's what I was going to say. We were talking about special effects. I did want to talk about the guy that was behind the visual effects of this, because this guy called David Allen, and if you look at it again, Google it. But like, I'm gonna quickly go through some of his list of films here. He looked after some of the stop motion animation for The Howling.
Oh wow!
He was also working on The Hunger, Twilight Zone, the movie, The Stuff, which is a awesome
love
film.
The Stuff.
This to me was my moment of because it was young Sherlock Holmes, and I love that movie. And,
cool.
I know the stop motion bit they're talking about. It'll be the food bit that overtakes Dr. Watson's character in it, but he also worked on Dolls, which was Stuart Gordon's kind of movie, and Batteries Not Included, Willow, Honey I Shrunk the Kids,
Hey,
Bride of Reanimator.
yes.
As well as all the a lot of the Puppet Master movies, plus Demonic Toys, which was another different version, and they teamed up, like you said, for Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. So yeah, he's got a lot of work there in this field, and you've got to have massive nod to him. And because I love the animation in this. I think it's I don't know whether that's a nostalgic thing for me or not, but I really enjoyed that side of it, and I don't think it did date, because I think you can kind of get away with it because they are puppets, like you said.
Yeah, it's the same as when you see, like, in Beetlejuice, you go, I kind of forgive it because I know it's an animation style and what they're trying to get at, and this world is super, not in that film, it's not just supernatural, it's very quirky in its design setting, but in this world, because it's, again, inanimate objects that are coming to life, the more surreal it looks, to me, I think, makes it more creepy. I think when people turn around and say that it looks tacky, that definitely is true. Like, you know, as you said, it looks dated, but it shouldn't. Like, we've been using it, filmmaking is a magic trick in itself. I mean, the fact that it's just repetitious frames per second at a certain resolution, like, it's all magic anyway. So it's the sort of thing of applied right. It doesn't matter whether you're using paper mache or whether you're using a CG generated golem. As long as it's shot right. Jurassic Park. I mean, they shot in the rain and in the dark because they knew that they could control the textures and the lighting that way. So they could seamlessly cross in the digital, and they had one lighting source, which was the moon, and then the lights. But they didn't have to interact too much with 3D.
So the only other thing I was just going to mention too, there's a couple of other puppets that only have a very brief cameo at the beginning too. So we have I mentioned the Khan character, but there's also an Indian puppet named Gengi, and we don't really see him either.
I thought there was quite a few.
Beyond the beginning bit, which is kind of interesting. So basically the prologue, if you will, concludes with the Nazi spies kind of actually reaching the hotel room, and all the puppets are hidden away in a case, and then I think they're put behind a wall panel. Yeah,
he's got a nice big blue panelled wall, and he takes one of the panels off, or it's already off, and he puts the big suitcase with all of them in there. And he gently put them in into the hole after saying, "Don't worry, I'll keep you safe." If I think that was right.
Yeah, something along those lines. And then he sits down and shoots himself in the face. And
it's sort of, you go, oh, and then the Nazis get in there like, oh, he got the fun bit. Like,
I was going to shoot you in the face.
Which I thought was really good because, again, as that setup, it was sort of that completed story where it was just really left open to go, well, now I have a want. At least there's I don't know the objective, I just feel like there's a drive in there.
Yes, that's right. So then we projected 50 years into the future to the current dateline of the movie release, 1989. And this is where we meet the psychics. So this is where we get a different kind of feel of the movie at this point. We have Alex Whitaker. And I'm just going to see in my notes, because they all have different gifts. So Alex is the guy that looks like Peter Gabriel, played by Paul Le Mat, who was probably Paul Le Mat's probably best known for his role in American Graffiti, and he was also in Melvin and Howard, which is another one as well of those kind of cult films. But yeah, to me, when I was first watching it, I was like, "Is that Peter Gabriel with a mullet?" Yes, but it's not. It's Paul Le Mat. So he plays, as I said, Alex Whitaker, and as I said, each of these these psychics that we're introduced to have a bit of a gift,
certain ability. Yeah.
Yeah. So I know Alex. I'm just trying to look it up now because I can't find it in my notes. But I know Alex Whitaker's one was that his stuff is all to do with dreams. So in his dreams he has premonitions of the future.
Yeah. What's your power? I dream. Don't we all?
But I masturbate when I dream.
And I wear women's clothing and it's great. Choke myself and...
Well, I've said too much, haven't I?
Yeah, I know when to stop because I always see when I die, so I know how far to go. Yeah. Just on the cast as well, this is to completely segue, but I've just seen in the other films. In 1999, they made Retro Puppet Master.
Yes.
And at this point, Guy Rolfe had sort of, for 3 films, become the the Andre Toulon character.
Yes.
And the young version, it must have been a flashback or something that happens in it. The young version of him is played by Greg Sestero from The Disaster Artist and The Room.
Oh, seriously?
Yes.
That is awesome.
Now I think I have to see that.
Nice bit of trivia. Yeah, do you know what? I mean, I know I shouldn't probably mention this at the end, but fuck it, we'll say it now. But I do feel like I want to watch some of the rest of these now.
Yeah.
I do find that I am kind of
as
weird and as jarring as I found the narrative for this particular one. There's enough there for me to go, yeah, I want to know more about this world.
Yeah, so exactly, and one of them might get it right. But even if not, like when I loved going through all of the Children of the Corn series, I remember I think number 4 wasn't very good, but there was one sequence in it which terrified me, and I thought the way that they filmed it was just a guy coming out of the shadow in a creepy way, in this like sort of long shot over a bed, but it was just done so suddenly and really perfect that it stuck with me forever. So again, even if you find one of those little things throughout the whole series, and again, if they're still making them, it's just going to be more fun to be had.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, you're absolutely right. So
yes, one of them dreams.
One of them dreams. So yeah, so that's the Alex Whitaker guy. So there's also Carissa.
Which was a great effect. Sorry, when he woke up and he was bleeding through the shirt. That was great.
When we first see him, it's like he's got these slices in his chest in his stomach.
And it wasn't a cop-out because, again, his power and ability was to dream. And at this point, this is the first introduction, so I was like, okay, well, I know that there was, like, animated, like, what was it, Egyptian scrolls or something like this was going on, but I was sort of like going, okay, where's it going to now? I want to get back to those dolls. So having that and him sort of waking up from it was like, okay, cool, so he's a psychic, I'm assuming. Otherwise, it would have been a cop-out. But it wasn't just sort of him going, okay, I'm an actor on a set, If it was something like that, I'd get really annoyed. To have such a good effect like that.
I know. And what's cool about that premonition, we don't know it at this time, but what he's actually having a premonition around was the leech woman puppet.
Yes, and it wasn't about him, it was about the other guy.
Yes.
Or one of them.
One of them. Well,
which we'll get into.
So we have, speaking of the others, so we have Carissa, who is a psychometrist, and which basically means she can touch an object and give the object's history.
That's right.
So she's the one that's really sexually quite charged in this film.
Yes, she goes into the bath and gets all its history.
Right.
I'd love because it's filled with water.
Yes.
So like all of those little particles, like she walks through air and like someone's cigarette smoke, and she goes, "Oh, that guy's an asshole." Like I'd love that. She steps in poo and she just like gets all of the emotions of all the like vegetables and animals. So it's like
oh, it's covered in dirt.
Right. Yeah, just someone throws her dirt from a graveyard and she just goes into a convulsive fit. But again, like, yeah, on the bed and things like this, and her partner is the guy who has gotten them together, and he doesn't have a power. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. So he I think his name's Neil or Frank. Hold on, Frank. It's Frank. So he and Neil, who we'll talk about Neil in a bit later, are the ones that discovered that these Egyptians could create a method of giving life to inanimate figurines, essentially. So they're the ones that discover it, but they use the powers of these other psychics to kind of harness,
boost their power as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, because it just described them as magicians first. Now, I didn't know if that was supposed to be. I assumed that it was not carnival like or David Copperfield, but it was more like actual magic, like witches or.
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's exactly right. So it's meant to be tapping into this kind of mystical thing, and it's almost like how I envisioned it, how you would get with a witch's coven, except this is a psychic coven instead.
Yeah.
So
but I
think all their abilities together kind of create a greater force.
Yeah, exactly, and which is a cool concept, and especially that's what I mean. At the end, it comes around, and you go, "Oh, okay, now I get how it's supposed to work in this world."
Yes.
But if it was just introduced a little bit better, like just after that blood scene where he wakes up, just something a little bit establishing that we're in a world that magic's real. Same as like in Ghostbusters 2, when everyone goes, "No, ghosts don't exist," even though we all saw what happened with the marshmallow, like
Yes.
Yeah.
No, I agree. It needed something there where this. I'm trying to think of that. It's based on a book. The
Dolls.
No. Doctor Strange and Jonathan. No, Jonathan Strange and damn it, I can't remember now. It's a really good book, and they did it as a short kind of TV series. And that's going to bug me now. But anyway, it's all done where magic is real.
Cool.
It's been kind of banished because it's kind of frowned upon, and there's these two guys who are the title of the show.
Yeah,
and
it's cool.
They have to band together because something evil is coming. So yeah. So one of them's old school magic, and one's new school magic. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But
well,
really
even how in the Conjuring universe they do the same thing with the people. Is it the Warrens? Like, as in it doesn't necessarily need to be one where everyone accepts that it's there, but it's like it's obvious that she sees these premonitions and it, like and it's influencing the world around her.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, because again, like it does work in with the theme. And seeing was it the fortune teller as well have these sort of responses.
So she's the fourth. She's the fourth one. Thank you. So her name's Dana, and she's the one that can tell fortunes, and she's basically used because she can locate things and people using her psychic connections.
Like that's it. These characters have got spin off all over. Like you've seen the film before this, like was in their first adventure where it was just something where they're like kick-ass detectives or something. That'd be awesome.
I totally agree.
And she has also got a taxidermy dog, doesn't she?
Yes, she does.
Yes.
So she carries around with her. Yes, which is very important.
Oh, it's so cute.
Oh, look at these
But also, in that first scene are two extras, or there's two actors, and it's, I don't know, like they were okay, but it was just, I think that the director saw what kind of people they were like, and they're like, oh, cool, yeah, we can make this work.
So is this with the psychic bit?
Yeah, in the psychic scene, where it's like you're going to have a big job. You're going to build a supermarket.
Yes. Hey, so I don't know what point I'm going to mention this now because when I was looking at the credits, I noticed Barbara Crampton was in it.
Oh.
Crampton, sorry, who was from Reanimator. And apparently she plays a carnival girl in this. So it's a very early role, but I was just like, I don't remember who that was or who she was, but I presume it must be during that psychic reading scene.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had no memory of who she was, so I kept meaning to look back on my DVD of it to check it, and I never got around prior to the podcast.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I'm kind of keen because huge fan of hers.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, she was also carrying the scene too.
yeah. That's right. So we to come back to the plot line. So we have
she gets a whole bunch of premonitions all at once.
Yeah, and they're just like, my throat. Oh, wonder what's going to happen there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so they all and so obviously the Carissa lady that we mentioned, and her partner is Frank, and they get a phone call from Alex Whittaker, and they were like, yes, we were expecting you to call us.
That's right.
Yes, and so they all drawn to go back to Bodega Bay, where it all began. And when they get there, they are wanting to catch up with Neil, who's like the other character who I was kind of half mentioning prior.
Neil Gallagher.
Neil Gallagher, and he's like, yeah, what's the story, Morning Glory? No, he doesn't. That's Noel Gallagher. So Neil, he's like the other guy that teamed up with Frank originally and discovered the Egyptians' methods. So they go, right, let's go find Neil. We're putting the band back together.
Yes, put the band back together.
So they turn up only to have the door answered by a woman called Megan.
Megan?
Yes, and she claims to be the wife of Neil. And they're like, oh, didn't know he got married? Curious and curious, said Alice. And so they, and she then also declares that Neil isn't there anymore because he's dead. Mm-hmm. So they're like, bullshit. I call bullshit.
He's still there, he's just not
there,
on his mortal coil.
So they go, yes, exactly. And they go and discover that his body is in a casket. And he has.
They say he's also committed suicide, which again, you're just like, oh, 2 suicides, and we didn't even get to see this one.
I know, that's a bit of a cop-out.
Did he have panties and a noose?
He did, but that's a different story. So
Manuerotic situation.
Yes. So they're a bit like, oh, I feel a bit bummed now. Shall we stay anyway? Yeah.
We've seen good things.
Yeah. We like the decor. So yes, which is all a bit strange, and so they all kind of go off and they have their own rooms and.
This the hotel as well is precariously positioned in a position that I want to say is like Guest House Paradiso with Rick Mayall, like right on the edge of a cliff.
Eddie.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, got the tip of my penis in the drawer. Candle in the eye, if you say so. Sorry.
Yes, massive digressions.
Yes.
But in a good way. So look, it is odd though, isn't it? Because they kind of go off their separate ways a bit.
Yeah.
And
throughout their time there as well, they start to notice the dead body will sit up and just like look at him. Well, not sit up, like, they'll just turn around and it'll be sitting in a chair. Yes. But he's definitely dead, they say.
He's definitely dead. And there's a maid-type woman also on the scene as well. And I've forgotten her name.
Oh, that's right, yes.
Yeah. So there is another character pottering
Annie
around.
Potts.
Annie Potts.
It wasn't played by Annie Potts, but that's who I'm thinking of.
Yes. So while they are all in their own rooms... there's a shot. There's this great. I actually really love this shot, by the way, of when we have the shot of the casket, and we can just about make out a bit of the body, and then these hands come up out of the casket, and a little pinhead pops.
Was that was the real hands too? Wasn't it?
That was the real hands. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you get the animatic in the next one. Yeah, no, I love that.
It's such a cool shot, and we were introduced to Pinhead for the first time, not Hellraiser Pinhead.
No, yeah, exactly, yeah. But I do like it. It's that carnival playback too. Like, have you ever seen the movie? What is it? Not One of Us. Freaks.
The Freaks, yeah,
the Freaks. And they had one of the pinheads in that, or what they used to call pinheads, who had this elongated skull on their heads and stuff. And he sort of has that slight elongated skull and a smaller head than his body, and huge, muscular with real hands.
So Pinhead's the muscle of the group, isn't he? He's the physically strong as. Wow,
yeah, and I think, as a kid, that one would have terrified me the most.
Yeah, I think so too. Although the leech woman is a bit.
Yeah, that's creepy, but I love leeches. I grew up in the bush, so it's like, they're fine. Ticks you have to worry about.
You're like, bring it on.
Yeah, that's
Bring on
it.
the leeches, yeah.
I'll sit in a big sack of them.
Just vomit all the leeches you like onto me. I don't care.
Exactly. I was like, that's a slow death, too.
Yes, it is. It is.
Go back to the 1500s, and that'd be your medical remedy there.
Yeah, that's right. You're curing me. You're not killing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Lost my train of thought. Oh yeah, so Pinhead climbs out of the casket, and then we get this bit at dinner time, and Dana is kind of making a few remarks about Neil.
Yeah.
And being a bit snide, and then Megan's like, "Oh, for fuck's sake," and walks off.
Mm-hmm.
Alex goes after her because he's like, he's drawn to her because he's had this premonition of Neil wanting to kill her.
Yeah.
So he's kind of feeling this kind of protection over her. So he
That's
goes
right,
after. Yeah. So he goes after her, and then at which point, all right, yeah, this is just there's a bit of history that comes out of how they kind of got together, and they used Dana to track down the location of Andre Toulon. Anyway, somehow they all kind of end up going off again into their own rooms, and Teresa is the maid woman, that's right, and so she goes into the fireplace, and that's when she kind of hears the noise being played, and then the piano noise, and so she goes over to look at the piano, and there's nothing there. She thinks she's losing her nuts, and then but at which point she goes back to the fireplace, and then Pinhead comes around and whacks her over the head with a poker.
Yeah.
And we presume she's dead.
Yeah. I liked that, sort of just being it, and she would oft.
Yeah.
It was just like, cool, now we know what they're capable of and what they want to do.
Yeah.
Didn't exactly know why they wanted to do it.
I see, that's the thing. I was just like, why are they suddenly just killing them? I really didn't understand that.
I
it's revealed a bit later on, but...
Well, I assumed that they were angry, like, as in they did a Liam Neeson. It was just like, I don't care who they are, I'm just going to kill all of that type, all of those big humans, because they killed my master.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but that was just me applying it because, again, I think the beginning I liked, and I was trying to put justification into it, and I was sort of like wanting some of these characters to get off.
Yeah, it was getting to that point. There was a lot of like. It kind of did drag itself a little bit. This section. It was just like, I kind of want you to just kind of get to something happening. Yeah, exactly. And finally, stuff does. When it does, it's great. And so, then we find that the bit where you mentioned somebody's moved Gallagher's body to a chair. So that and causes Megan to become ill. So she starts feeling really sick. So they all go to bed, but Dana, the fortune teller, starts putting protection spells around Alex and his room.
Yep.
So basically, and because of that, blade doesn't go in to Alex because he can't. There's a protection there. And then Carissa and Frank. This is hilarious. This bit. This is just an excuse to have a sex scene, really, isn't it?
Yeah. Sort of a when was it made? It wasn't the 70s, was it?
No. Well, it felt like
89. Still, it's within that range where they can, and they had to.
Yes.
Producers made them.
Exactly. So they're kind of getting busy, and she ties him up to the bed, and then she starts hearing noises, and so he's blindfolded and tied to the bed, and she goes, I can hear something. She looks under the bed, at which point we see the tunneler, which is the first time we're running at her. So he's got this kind of big kind of drill bit on his head.
Yeah, like all his head, like the bald part would just go straight into one of those big mole tunnelers. Yeah, those screws, and you can hear it have that.
That's right.
Yeah. But,
as he goes charging for her, and then she kind of has her whole face kind of...
Yeah. Now, I only saw that once, but now I really want to go back and see that sequence again, because I'm thinking, was that an actor in a suit that they shot at a certain scale, running?
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking that's what it looks like in my memory. Either that or it was, like, I don't know.
I thought it was the puppet, but, like, yeah, maybe.
Could have been, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like, watching these sort of films, you sort of fill those blanks in.
It was stop motion, but I could be wrong.
Oh, maybe it might have been stop motion, yeah.
And it ran towards her, and then she basically has her whole kind of the beautiful effects of her face being completely ripped apart.
Right in the face.
And this is actually quite funny, where with Frank though, because he's still tied to the bed, and he doesn't know what's going on.
Yeah, I like
and
this.
then we get the appearance of the leech woman as she vomits up these leeches onto him, and he thinks this still sexual kinky play.
Yeah.
At which point the leeches start draining his blood, and he starts getting in pain, and having all his blood, like more and more of these leeches get kind of thrown up on him.
Yeah.
And then Alex, then we cut to then Alex waking up in his sleep from his sleep. And at this point, Gallagher's body appears in Dana's room.
Yeah, I was about to say, he wakes up and he can hear the noise happening upstairs, and he just thinks it's rough sex. He's like, "Oh, knock it off!" And he goes to hit the roof, and he goes, "No, I won't do it." And it's just like, I like that.
Yes.
Yeah, as in as cliche as it was, I like the fact that it was different. That it wasn't just him annoyed with that. He actually had a moment where he was going to interact or go up and say something, and because he didn't, that resulted in his death. Probably, because that would have been up there for hours. I mean, leeches, come on.
Yeah, that's right. That would have been a slow, really slow, painful death, like you said earlier.
But what I love about that, it wasn't so much for me the horror of a leech and blood and like something gory. No. It was the what was it? The sounds of her making the and him going along with going, he thinks it's still this, and it being this creepy sort of thing, and then it vomiting had this sort of weird regurgitating sort of. It happens so slowly.
Yes,
you're like,
does.
I don't feel well. Like
no, it was horrible to watch that bit, and I loved it for it.
That's it. Yeah, I thought that was really good.
Yeah, I agree. It was a really cool. I liked her character. It was really, really off-putting.
I concur.
So then we get Alex kind of. So then we're in Dana's room, and this whole sequence is great because Dana really kicks ass for quite a while.
Yeah,
despite getting kind of really butchered along the way. So she's visited by Pinhead, who breaks in and he breaks her leg.
Yeah, like just crushes it with his hands.
Yeah,
that was great. That's what I mean. That sort of idea of him being such a small thing, but imparting that much power through something that's really plush. It's just like, whoa, that's scary.
Yeah, agree. And then he's relentless. He's punching her left, right, and centre in the face.
Yeah. And then she picks it up and just
throws it, which is great to see all across the room.
Yeah, again, I've heard people say that sort of pulled them out of it, but again, that just made me think, it's adding to the evidence. You know what I mean? So I'm now going, no, you can pick this thing up and throw it away, but if you're incapacitated, it's got this strength to crush your head. Yeah.
I agree. I loved it. I thought I was still in the moment with this. I felt this thing's got incredible strength, and if it was to kind of catch you, it's how are you going to defend yourself against that? It's not just like some little thing. It's got a lot of weight and power behind it, and you're now, as you said, rendered like where you're dragging yourself along the floor because your leg's been crushed. And he's constantly strangling her and punching her, and anyway, as we said, she manages to throw him away. Down
the stairwell,
and and then we get Blade turning up. And he does this whole kind of raises his knife hand, and you're like, oh my god, she's fucked. But she manages to get into this, and this is what I loved about this whole sequence, because she gets into the lift, and she's going down in the lift, and I'm like, isn't she going to end up where Pinhead was?
Yeah, I didn't even think of that at this point. Right.
And then when she gets to the bottom floor, Pinhead opens the door. He fights her again. She manages to throw him against the wall.
Yep, but not only then. The top of the elevator opens up, and lo and behold, it's Blade.
Oh, but there was a cool bit where Pinhead's head comes off.
Oh, that's right. That's the bit where she rips it off. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I hope it's not going to. Then it's like the magic's gone or whatever. It completely resets. But the fact that he feels around with his hands, picks it up and puts it back on. Yeah. I was like, cool. It's like Evil Dead rules. You can't just dismember them. You have to, whatever.
Yeah. We don't know. We don't know how they
Destroy by fire. That's how I assume.
Tickle them with a feather.
Yeah.
So you're right. So Blade appears in the roof, and is that right?
Yeah, I think so. It's
And
Blade.
and then he slits her throat.
That's right. There's a slit. Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Nice sort of easy effect that I think worked well.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, using his knife hand, and and that was her fortune as well. So that's what she had the premonition back in the tent to begin with when we first saw her. The circle is complete, and then basically we've lost 3 of the psychics. Basically, we've only got Alex left. And Megan, who's the wife.
Alex and Megan.
And she turns up. I know this is the dream within the dream thing again. So Megan turns up at Alex's door and takes him to where Toulon's room was. And then this is when Neil turns up with the gun to his head. So this is the kind of the dream sequence that he had before.
Yeah.
And then he's eventually woken up. He wakes up from his dream, only to have Megan again knock at the door, say, "You've got to come with me," taking him into Andre Toulon's room. And we're like, and I'm just going, what the fuck? Okay.
I like that.
Yeah. And then Neil, this is where Neil does turn up properly, and then we find that he has found Toulon's secret to being bringing back inanimate objects to life, and he has brought himself back to life, which I never really understood how that actually happened.
He used the metachlorians to create life.
Life beyond life. But Alex has a vision of Neil shooting him as they go downstairs to escape, and then Alex senses the others in the dining room, and that's where he finds all their dead bodies sitting around the table.
With all of their gruesome scars.
Yeah, and they've become puppets themselves, which Neil is using to resurrect them. Is that right, I think?
I'm not too sure.
He kind of explains that he did commit suicide, but he used Toulon's secret to become immortal. And
he had to use them all together in the pups. I don't know.
Yeah, something like, the whole MacGuffin moment there. And he hopes to use all of the bodies of their psychics for future human experiments.
Ooh.
And this is the whole kind of, whoa, this is my grand plan moment.
Yeah.
And the puppets overhear this and what he did to Toulon, and they're like, wait a minute.
Yeah, sees the girl crying, and what was it, that first one with the shifting faces?
Yeah, the jester.
Yeah, it makes a sad face. That's right, because he what's he do? He hurts it, or does he throw it?
He throws it, yeah. That's right, across the floor, and that's when they're like, well, he doesn't like us at all, does he?
Yeah, you see Pinhead and Blade turn around and go, wait a minute, what? No, it's not cool.
Yeah, we'll get you. And so they kind of then start their revolt against Neil. He tries to get away, gets back into the lift, has the whole moment where he's getting beaten up as well, but he jumps up to try and get through the hole in the top of the lift, where both
so Pinhead and the real head one,
Tunneler, are trying to reach him, and then Blade turns up and cuts the fingers off Neil. Yeah,
cuts 4 fingers off the side, and it falls down. You see all this yellow goop come out, which is his resurrection blood, in Reanimated. Reanimator. But then after that, he gets the blade. The 4 fingers are still sitting up there, and you hear him screaming and stuff. And he just pushes each one off with the blade.
I love that.
It's so good.
It's swipe that away.
Yeah.
And then they just descend on the Neil character and kill him, basically.
Yeah.
In front of Alex and Megan.
Mm-hmm. That's right, because they're behind the closed gate, and they're just watching it, and they're like, "Oh,
and
no."
Alex is like, "Stop!
Yeah.
Wait till I get the popcorn." No,
need photos, need a camera.
Yeah.
Still standing there wanking though.
Yeah, he does. I know that was weird. That was the bit that put me out. It wasn't the stop motion. It was the bit where he just no.
Sneaking opportunity it was.
Yeah. But yeah, the weird thing was, this was a bit weird though. So we had that kind of climax, but then like we cut to the film with Alex then saying goodbye to Megan.
Yeah.
So we're
And
just like,
everything's
oh,
done.
so, yeah.
I was this whole sequence, like, as in, well, not the whole sequence. When she's saying goodbye, I was just thinking, wait a minute. So did they call the wolf? Who's cleaning this up? Is it paramedics? Is it, I was literally going through. They've paid someone to clean this up, haven't they?
Yeah, they have to. Yeah.
Yeah, because there's a lot of mess. But how do you explain it?
No, we don't. I know that was what was really. That was the one bit that I just went, what?
Yeah.
Because it was all a bit kind of like. Because we don't actually see the puppets.
No, that's it. The last time we see the puppets is them beating him up in the or killing him in the lift.
Yeah.
Although I do love how after Alex has been said, like, you know, cheerio and stuff like that, she's still got the taxidermy puppy that belonged to Dana.
That's right.
In most rules, like, you know, my partner and I, we have a kind of thing that we have to warn each other if this film is going to break the rule.
Yes.
And the one rule being, like, you know, if a dog dies or the person kills the dog.
Yeah.
So we haven't. Well, she hasn't seen John Wick yet. But like, you know, in this one, I quite liked it because it does the complete opposite.
Yes.
You don't see how the dog has died, but it's a taxidermy dog.
Yes.
And then she walks up the stairs and it comes back to life.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like,
a cool ending. It was a cool ending. But with that, it also suggests that Megan has also got the ability to know how to bring inanimate objects back to life. And also, there is a bit of a question mark still. Was she actually the wife of Neil? Because they all were a bit shocked when they heard he was married. And they didn't believe her.
Yeah.
And then it's all gotten a bit forgotten about. So, was she the wife, or was she like almost like a magician's apprentice?
Yeah, well, that's... When she walked up the stairs, I was at the end. I was just sort of like happy because there was a dog on the screen, and it was wagging its tail, so I was happy because it was happy. But I didn't even think about the relationship that he had because I assumed that. What was it? So at one stage, I did question where she was going with things, Megan's character.
Yeah.
And it made me for a second there think that maybe it was all just a ruse, a filthy ruse. She was the Lady Macbeth to his Macbeth. but I didn't really, For me, it wasn't really a film about the people. Like, even when he came out and it was like, oh, well, he's a fun guy, like, actor to play this role, and he's enjoying it and chewing the scenery and loving it.
Yes.
But, I was more about the puppets. I was sort of like, you know, as long as Blade was okay, and that, what was it, Jester?
Jester, yeah. Well, let's have a quick, just before we kind of tidy things up. Let's have a quick look at the characters, each of the
puppets.
The puppets. So obviously we've got Blade, the main one, right?
Yeah.
What do we think of him? Like, he's obviously an iconic role, as we said. But what did you make of Blade's interaction with this movie?
Yeah, no, I quite loved it because he, for me, seemed like the protagonist, the sort of like America's Tale, sort of like, you know, the one we're going to follow. And his interactions, his sounds, and what was it? His eyes. What were those things in his eyes? Were they Phillips head screwdrivers or graphite pencil heads or?
Yeah, one of that. But like the way they zoomed out, you know, pushed out to make it look like he had binocular eyes.
Yeah, it was something.
And also like they lit up red at one point as well, I think.
Oh, I think I missed the red bit, but like I loved it how it was like poignant in that sort of way, and again because it was so small and a doll that was sort of brought by spiritual means, I was sort of like going, it's probably got a very simple, like a fairy, very simple want and need system. So killing things didn't seem too far in my mind justifying it because I thought it was that way.
Yeah.
But because we had that personal thing at the beginning, and he was on the poster, and you feel like you're on his side from the beginning. I was totally down with everything that he did.
Yeah.
Especially after he didn't kill that chick at the beginning, because I was just like, oh, cool.
Yes, yeah, that's right. Apparently, I'm just reading up here. Apparently, David Schmoller, the director, he's where am I going with this? So the Blade puppet was designed after David Schmoller's favorite actor, Klaus Kinski.
Ooh.
which I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting.
Klaus.
Klaus. And we've mentioned that he's got his own standalone film. But I've also noticed here that he also apparently stars in a movie called Boogeyman: The Killer Compilation.
Boogeyman. Oh, there used to be an old TV show with a character called Boogie. They called him the Boogeyman, but he was a pilgrim who had died, and he came back at Thanksgiving, I think.
Yes.
And he was just like Boogity. That's what it was called. Boogity.
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 Oh, I see. The Killer Compilation. So that's like a look at all the kind of serial... It's like a documentary kind of thing with all this famous serial killers in movies. So it's got like Pinhead in there, as in Hellraiser Pinhead. Freddy Krueger's in there, Leatherface, Ghostface, Chucky.
Nice.
But it's also got Blade from...
Very cool.
Hey, hello. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Alright, so Blade, yeah, very iconic look, and there's a definite reason why I feel people gravitate to his look and feel.
Yeah.
Then we have the Jester character that you were telling us about, so that's the one that had the very kind of numerous
segments of the face that switch around to either have a sad face, a smiley face, or a shocked face.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, which was a very kind of... I really like that. We said that too. It was a very kind of
which
cool
is great
look.
too, because just with a stop trick, I mean that's convincing.
Yes. So he has appeared in all of the films except the more recent one, the Lilith Reich one.
Right.
But he has never killed. He never kills anyone until in Curse of the Puppet Master, which is one of the more recent ones. He kills Sheriff Garvey. In that. So yeah,
he had it coming.
He had it coming.
He only had himself to blame.
Yes, I know. And then we have Pinhead, which we mentioned. So that's the muscle of the group with the small head. What do we think of Pinhead?
Yeah, no, I think I'd be scared of him as a child watching this, mainly too because you can't see what his face is, and he hasn't really got a voice.
No.
Or anything to do and say. He's just this fist that, like, that punching sequence would have, as I said, as a kid, I would be terrified of that, just waking up and seeing that. And then to know that it's something that you can throw away. It's sort of like a spider, like, as in, you can fling it off, and it's tiny, but that makes it even more scary because you're not going to see it when it runs up to you or whatever. Yeah, that's
right. That's right. Very, very cool. And he's also been in every single Puppet Master film as well.
Yeah.
So definitely, and you can see why he's again quite an iconic puppet.
Absolutely.
And I really like his touch too. And I loved his appearance when we first see him, as I said, where he crawls out of the casket. It was a great scene. Then we've got Leech Woman. So I think we kind of spoken about her, but I like the strange mix of kind of exoticness with this kind of alluring kind of sensualness, but with this grotesque kind of vomiting leech thing to juxtapose against that was
exactly, because
really
they've definitely got certain like violent themes that they're keeping with each of them, and so to get something that like to have a female sexy thing, which is obviously what they've gone for with the look of the puppet, and then to go, okay, well, what's a weapon? Like, we're not going to do a blade or something like this, we're not going to poison or whatever like that. Do that gross, exactly, something so sexualized to then take it to that gross sort of icky place. It is just, fantastic. And
I agree.
And it made that whole sequence, like the tunneler is very brief really in the film, although the damage is so like intense. Yeah,
that's right. So
whereas the Leech Woman, is scary. Something that you would wake up at night going, "Oh God, I remember. I felt like I had leeches on me."
Yeah, I know, huh? It's icky. It's gross, and I think that's what really works with that particular character. And she's the only female puppet as well.
Oh, really?
And she's appeared in a lot of the Puppet Master films. And then we get the tunneler, as you mentioned, so that's the one with the drill bit on his head.
Yes.
These puppets are supposedly resurrected using the souls of people from before, so they're inside these kind of puppets. So with the tunneler, apparently he's the soul that's inside the tunnel is a character called Joseph Sebastian. He was a soldier who was forced to work in the Nazi salt mines until he died. Hence the cone kind of shaped power drill, because that was what his profession was. And he usually kills victims by charging them head on, as we saw in that. He's been in all the films except Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys. That's
cool. But the collective series. I mean, they've got like so many other ones. It's crazy, so many, and then a whole bunch of retro ones too. So
there's loads in there that we don't see. Like we mentioned,
we've got Six Shooter, Torch, Decapitron, Jing.
So
Genie.
Six Shooter's become a bit of an iconic one in his own right, because I don't think he comes into it until the third one, but like he's become an iconic character in the series since then. He's like this cowboy kind of thing with 6 arms, each holding a gun.
Oh wow!
So he's become quite synonymous with the franchise since the third one.
But so many of them.
So many. But they're really, really cool, and I think that's what resonates. And we've said about the stop motion too, but they're really cool designs. And
absolutely.
And the effects guru that was behind it, like when he wanted to kind of make a movie, he had all these cool little designs in mind for the puppets, and he was like, how am I going to use this in a film? And that's how he kind of came across the idea of doing the Puppet Master.
That's great.
To incorporate it all. And like I said, 30 years on, what do you reckon? We've talked through it, but do you think this film still stands strong today? We kind of talked. You said some reviewers are saying it's a bit dated in some areas.
Yeah.
What do you feel about it? You feel like it still works?
Well, yeah. As in, going into it, like it's again, if someone, I don't know, a teenager maybe was to stumble across it on, I don't know, their Netflix, or it was on TV or something like this, I don't know if it would necessarily grab them when they see the effects. If I don't know, that's an issue of modern people. Yeah. But if you saw it from the beginning, I felt like I at least was intrigued. After that, maybe after that first sequence, because again, it was like, well, that served me good. I saw some puppets, I saw some death. But when it starts to lose you a bit, that's where I probably go, okay, maybe a cup of tea will help, or something like that. Yeah.
It does lose you. There are bits that lose you a little bit, but it does pull you back in, and it gives you a good sucker punch to deliver it, which I thought was really cool. And I really enjoyed it. Like I said, I lost track a little bit, but I think it did enough to pull you back in and keep you entertained. So I would recommend it. And like you can stream this. I don't know if this stuff is overseas, but in Australia there's a free streaming device called Tubi. You can watch. I don't know if it's all the Puppet Master films, but you can pretty much watch most of them, including this one. Do recommend go and check that out.
Oh, fantastic!
Yeah. So look, before we bow out, I do believe that you have a quiz that you're going to kind of throw at us.
Well, it's going to be a little bit hard to throw things at you over the internet, but I can definitely say them in a 1912 fun voice.
Nice. But yeah, I think that might be kind of a cool way to kind of bow us out, and some of these people might kind of want to play along.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so what have you got there? What's
cool? Well, this is just from funtrivia.com, and it's just 10 questions about the film. So with us both being virgins to it, it's good we've done a little quick watch of the film and a little discussion about our history and how quick Wikipedia things. We'll probably ace this, hopefully. But my question to you, good sir, how many puppets does Andre Toulon end up stowing away? A, 3, B, 1, C, 2, or D, 4?
I want to say it's 3.
I have no idea.
I want to say it's... hold on. It'll be 4 if we include Blade in there. Sorry. Because there's hold on. There's Blade, there's Jester, there's the Indian puppet, which I've forgotten its name, and the Khan one. So there's 4.
Ooh! Cool. That's good. Well, I'm just about to say as well, you're expecting probably me to say whether it's correct or not. I don't know yet as well. I'm playing along on the website. But you at home listening to this podcast can play along as well.
We won't know until the end. I'm just realising too that is, I wonder if that's good synergy with the fact that there's 4 psychics as well. So he stores away 4
nice.
puppets and 4 psychics.
So you said 2, so you want 2 now instead?
No, I want 4.
Okay, so 4. Okay,
Yeah.
good. So you want that one, 4?
Yes, 4.
So 1 it is.
Ah!
No, 4. Yes, good. So 4. Good. Question number 2. How is Andre Toulon killed in 1939? A. He's shot. B. He suffers a long and terminal illness. C. He's thrown from a cliff. Or D. He commits suicide.
He commits suicide.
Yay. Technically it'd be A and D,
And
wouldn't
D,
it?
yeah, that's right. Mm.
Yeah, but we'll find out soon. And 3, where is the Bodega Bay Inn? A, Florida, B, California, C, Louisiana, or D, West Virginia?
California!
No time to party. Beautiful. Question number 4. The psychics are called to the Bodega Bay Inn by Neil. This is particularly concerning because, as it would seem, he's dead. True or false?
It's true!
Yes, it is. But we'll find out soon if we're correct, even though we know we are.
We forgot to mention that, so it was Neil that invited.
Oh, yeah. It all comes full circle.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Love it.
So the dead Neil invites them all to the thing, and
Yes.
then he arrives and he's dead. Or they all arrive and he's dead. Good. 5. Question number 5. Dana travels with which of these in her luggage? A taxidermy dog.
Yeah.
B, a gun. C, a skeleton. Or D, a crystal ball.
All of the above.
All of the above.
A.
Yes, a taxidermy dog. Good. Question number 6. Which ancient civilization found a method of giving life to inanimate figurines?
Egyptian.
A, Greek. B, Chinese.
No.
C, Egyptian.
Yes.
D, Roman.
Egyptian.
I know, I was about to say, it's a pretty easy quiz. I should have sort of gone through this, I guess, before. Made them a little bit harder. Okay, number 7. We're almost done, folks, but still, keep playing along at home. You hear? So, number 7. Dana, fearing the worst, places protective wards on whose room? A, Megan's. B, her own. C, Neil's. Or D, Alex's.
Alex's.
Alexa.
And,
Yes.
and the thing with that, though, right? So why does she do that to him and no one else?
Yeah, just to him. Well, later on, when he is walking out and they cross paths and she's got a taxidermy dog and alcohol,
Yeah.
and she's just like, oh, maybe we can try redecorating the walls ourselves. So maybe she wants something with him.
Yeah, there's a bit of
Or she
sex
likes
involved.
him.
Yeah.
Maybe I shouldn't just instantly go straight to sex. Maybe she just likes him.
I want to stroke your genitals.
Yes, that's why I brought the puppy along.
Yes, he's going to lick you. Yeah, I don't know, but I thought that was a bit interesting. Anyway, as you were,
Yeah,
sir, quiz
good.
away.
Quizzing away, awesome. We'll find out very soon. Number 8. Frank is killed by which of these creatures? A, leeches. B, spiders. C, snakes. Or D, bats. I just realised that's very funny because it's like I'm saying A, leeches, but it wouldn't be. It would be A, leech, not a leeches.
Yeah.
And then it would be C, snakes, but no, this is actually snakes that are on land. Sorry.
Yeah, look, it's leeches.
Leeches.
But it's.
I wish...
It should say leech woman, really, but there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Like regurgitated leeches would have been better.
Oh, I can say that.
Good. I put in sea snakes anyway. Number 9. Where is Dana murdered?
In the
In her
elevator.
neck? No, anyway. A, in her room. B, in the garden. C, in the basement. Or D, in the elevator.
Yes, D.
D, elevator. The elevator.
With the
And
candlestick.
last question, number 10. Who learns how to use Toulon's method in the end? A, Megan. B, Dana. C, Alex. Or D, Frank.
It's A, Megan.
You reckon? I like that.
I reckon we're good there. I reckon we've got 10 for 10.
Yeah, I think so too. Yay! The first answer was correct. There's also 4 as well that go into it. Yay! Did we get them all correct? Hold on, let's go through them all. That makes us wrong. How many puppets does Andre Toulon end up stowing away? You said 4, and that was correct! Woohoo!
Yes.
Number 2. How is Andre Toulon killed in 1939? You said he commits suicide. Correct! Yay!
Hooray to
Number
death!
3. Where is the Bodega Bay Inn? You said California. Yay! Correct!
Yes.
Number 4. The psychics are called to the Bodega Inn by the psychics are called to the Bodega Bay Inn by Neil. This is particularly concerning because, as it would seem, he's dead. You said true, and they Survey says, yay! Number 5, Dana travels with which of these in her luggage? You said a taxidermy dog. Yay! It's dead! I mean, yay, you were correct. Yes. Number 6, which ancient civilization found the method for giving life to inanimate figures? You said Egyptian, and survey says, yay!
Yeah.
Number 7, Dana, fearing the worst, places protective wards on whose room? You said Alex's. Alexa said, yay. Number 8, Frank is killed by which of these creatures? You said leeches. Survey says, yay!
Excellent.
Yes, and another joke about sea snakes. 9, where is Dana murdered? You said in the elevator. Survey says, yay! We also would have accepted in the neck because her throat was cut. Now, number 10, who learns how to use Toulon's methods in the end? You said Megan.
Yes.
Survey says, yay! And it seems that's the way. Yeah, as it seems, Neil has perfected the Egyptian technique of achieving immortality by placing souls into bodies of human dolls.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Exactly. And that's
Awesome,
how she
man.
brings the taxidermy dog back at the end because she's learnt the lessons and
Yes.
science.
Awesome.
That's the main thing I took away from this film: science.
Science. That's all you need to know. Science.
Yeah, that's it. Don't bother with Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos. This will give you a better science lesson in however long it goes. And it's all done with a poster of Michael Jackson holding a knife. So,
cool, man. All right, well, thank you for placing that quiz, and we do hope you enjoyed playing along at home.
And thank you as well, and thank you to everybody else who enjoyed and played along too.
Yes.
Give yourselves a pat on the back.
And your reward is your dignity back. So
he's a puppet.
Okay, cool. Well, I think we can bow out on that note there. I did enjoy the ride, it does, as I said, it has lured me in to want to venture further into the series a little bit more. Until next time, I am your host, Saul Muerte, and I was joined by Richard Lovegrove.
Good night.
Goodbye. Ooh, dark.
You're listening to the Surgeons of Horror podcast. Music supplied by Peter Nezik. For more discussions or podcasts, head over to surgeonsofhorror.com or head over to our Facebook and Twitter sites for the latest news and updates.